Today is Wednesday, April 17th, 2024, and it's day 7 of my Great American Road Trip. The day started off right, with amazing scones and coffee at Bracken Mountain Bakery in Brevard, North Carolina. The staff and other customers were super friendly, and we spent some time swapping road trip stories over coffee. Fed and caffeinated, today's ride was a great example of how not to take the most direct route, and it was just what I needed. Over the weekend, I took a 2-day street riding class at the US Rider Academy at the BMW Performance Center in South Carolina. We did all the standard drills: slow riding, circles, cone weaves, U-turns, figure eights, swerving, and emergency stopping, where we learned to use all the brakes. We experimented taking various lines through the turns, navigating over obstacles, and even going off-road for a bit. It's one thing to rack up miles on the road. It's another thing to be doing maneuvers with experienced instructors watching every squeeze of the clutch, tap of the brakes, and turn of the head you make. It was eye-opening, humbling, and challenging. But honestly, it was a lot of fun. Near the end, they rolled out BMW's full street bike lineup for us to try. After testing everything from the GS to the R9T to the S1000, I knew that my K1600 Grand America was the right choice for me. If you can, take a riding class. You'll improve your skills, and you'll meet some great people. I'll put a link to the class I took in the description. I'll also put a link to the Paul B. Safety Training Rebate Program run by the BMW Motorcycle Owners Association. If you're a member, you can get up to $200 back when you complete a qualified training class. On Monday, I rode back towards Charlotte for lunch with family, then headed west towards Brevard, North Carolina. The highways were highways, but Scenic Route 11 is beautiful. It was 93 degrees today, so after a couple hours, I was roasting. I climbed into the mountains looking for cooler air, and I found it, but it came with some rain. I would later learn that Brevard is actually located in a temperate rainforest and is one of the wettest towns in the United States outside of the Pacific Northwest. After 220 miles that day, I reached my hotel, cleaned up, and walked to the diner for dinner. Brevard is a really nice college town. I spent Tuesday unwinding, recovering from the long ride from New York, and class. I caught up on my blogging, and I thought about the days ahead. With nowhere specific to be for the next 2 weeks, I felt like the meandering and exploring part of my trip could really begin. And today's ride would be a great example of meandering. I would cross a state border 3 times today, from north to South Carolina, then back again to North Carolina, and finally into Georgia. Route 276 was a beautiful ride. Sweeping turns gave way to tight twisties just after the state line, which is also the Eastern Continental Divide. Winding through this section of the Blue Ridge Mountains was just the thing to shake off the highway memories and to start to really appreciate the landscapes I was able to ride through. Making a right back onto Scenic 11 brought long, sweeping turns on my way across the Kiwi River Bridge and into Walhalla. Now it was time for another twisty and beautiful climb on Route 28 back up to Highlands, North Carolina. I stopped there for coffee and lunch and had a walk around Main Street. The story is that its 2 founders drew lines from Chicago to Savannah and from New Orleans to New York City. They hoped that where these 2 lines met would become a major trading and economic center. With a current population of just over 1,000, that didn't quite work out, but it is a lovely place nonetheless. After lunch, I rode southwest towards Sky Valley, Georgia, and through Clayton, Clarksville, and Cleveland on Route 129. A left onto Route 19 at the Riverside Tavern in Turner's Corner, and I was riding my first leg of the Georgia Triangle. Down to Porter Springs, and a right onto Georgia 60, where the twists and turns would be a perfect end to the ride. I rolled into Two Wheels of Suchess late in the afternoon. I'll admit, I had never heard of this legendary spot before one of my instructors mentioned it a few days ago. It's a lodge, campground, and restaurant made just for motorcyclists. There was a group of 5 or 6 riders from Atlanta sitting on the porch. We chatted, watched the rain come in, and swapped stories about past and future trips. A few of them were headed out to Moab, Utah the next week. I was heading there eventually, but they'd be there and long gone by the time I got there. Riding a motorcycle makes the world feel huge. At the same time, the community of people you meet makes it feel really small. The lodge itself is simple but perfect. 3 large bedrooms, a common kitchen, bathroom, and living area. I was the only person staying there. It was quiet, clean, and peaceful. Unfortunately, dinner options were limited. The restaurant was only open on the weekends, so I ended up with gas station pizza. I took it back to the porch and watched the rain as I ate. Turns out, that was just fine. With 179 miles clocked for the day, it felt like the adventure part of my trip had finally begun. I turned in and let the sounds of the rain put me to sleep. Thanks for watching.